Tina, a young single mother, was faced with a choice that no parent should ever have to make. Stay home and miss the money she desperately needed for rent, or take her sleeping baby with her on a late-night food delivery. She chose to work. She thought it would be a quick, anonymous job. But when she was publicly humiliated by a wealthy woman in a luxury apartment building, she had no idea that a quiet observer was about to reveal a shocking truth that would leave everyone speechless. Before we continue the story, we'd love to know where you're watching from. Please let us know in the comments so we can bring you more stories that resonate with you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our upcoming stories. Now, let's dive into the story. The city. Lights blurred past Tina's car window, each one a reminder of how tired she was. In the back seat, her 10-month-old son, Leo, was sound asleep in his car seat, his little chest rising and falling peacefully. A soft sigh escaped Tina's lips. Her babysitter had canceled just an hour ago. A family emergency. Tina couldn't be mad, but panic had squeezed her chest. Rent was due in 2 days, and she was still short. Missing a night of deliveries wasn't an option. So here she was, driving through the cold night with her whole world sleeping in the back. Her phone screen glowed with the delivery details. The Azure Spire, apartment 34B. Tina knew the building. It was one of those new, ultra-modern skyscrapers that looked like it was made of glass and money. Delivering there always made her feel a little invisible. She parked the car, carefully unbuckled Leo's car seat, and settled him into the baby carrier strapped to her chest. He barely stirred, his warm breath puffing against her neck. She grabbed the insulated bag of food, took a deep breath, and walked towards the gleaming entrance. The lobby of the Azure Spire was intimidating. The floors were polished marble. The ceiling was 2 stories high, and a modern chandelier sparkled like a constellation of diamonds. It was silent except for the soft classical music playing from hidden speakers. Behind a large, imposing desk stood the doorman, James. He was an older man with kind eyes and a neatly pressed uniform. He had seen Tina before, rushing in and out, on other deliveries. He gave her a small, understanding nod as she approached. "Delivery for 34B," Tina said quietly, trying not to disturb the perfect silence of the lobby. "Of course," James said, his voice a low rumble. "I'll just buzz them to let them know you're on your way up." As James reached for the phone, the glass doors behind Tina slid open with a soft whoosh. A woman in her late 50s swept into the lobby. Her name was Victoria, and she carried herself like she owned the very air in the room. She was dressed in an expensive-looking coat, with a designer handbag tucked under her arm. She was talking loudly into her phone, her high heels clicking sharply on the marble floor. "No, I told him it's unacceptable," she said into her phone. "He needs to learn some responsibility. This is the real world, not a playground." She ended her call with a frustrated tap on her screen and looked up, her eyes immediately falling on Tina. Victoria's perfectly sculpted eyebrows drew together. Her gaze traveled from Tina's simple jacket down to her worn-out sneakers, and then settled on the sleeping baby strapped to her chest. Victoria let out a short, sharp scoff. It was a sound of pure disgust. "Excuse me," Victoria said, her voice dripping with ice. "What is this?" Tina felt her cheeks grow hot. She clutched the delivery bag tighter. I have a delivery for apartment 34B." Victoria took a step closer, looking at the baby as if he were a piece of trash. "And you thought it was appropriate to bring a child in here? This is a private residential building. It is not a daycare." Tina's heart started to beat faster. "I'm so sorry," she stammered. "My babysitter canceled, and I couldn't miss my shift. I'll be gone in just a minute." "I don't care if you're gone in a second," Victoria snapped, her voice growing louder. "There are standards. People pay a fortune to live here for a sense of security and decorum. Not to have their lobby filled with this. It's incredibly unprofessional." Tina felt small, pinned by the woman's cruel words. She could feel a few tears prickling the corners of her eyes, and she fought them back. She wouldn't cry. Not here. Not in front of this woman. Leo shifted in his carrier, and Tina instinctively rocked him, whispering, "Shh. It's okay, baby." Victoria rolled her eyes. Honestly, the kind of people they let do these jobs nowadays. No wonder you have to drag your child around with you at night. Maybe if you made better life choices? That's when the doorman, James, cleared his throat. It wasn't a loud sound, but in the silent lobby it cut through the tension like a knife. James stepped out from behind his desk. He walked slowly, deliberately, until he was standing beside Tina. He didn't look at Tina. He looked directly at Victoria. "Is there a problem, Mrs. Davenport?" he asked. His voice was calm, but there was a hard edge to it that Tina had never heard before. Victoria was taken aback. "Yes, James, there is a problem. This person has brought a baby into the lobby. It's a violation of—" "A violation of what, exactly?" James interrupted, his voice still level. "Our policy is to ensure residents receive their deliveries. This young woman is doing her job." "Her job?" Victoria laughed, a cold, ugly sound. "This isn't a job, it's a failure to plan." James's kind eyes turned to steel. He knew Victoria Davenport well. He knew about her complaints, her arrogance, and her family. He also knew Tina. He had seen her come and go for months, always polite, always rushing, her face often etched with exhaustion. He had seen her delivering in the pouring rain and in the freezing cold. He took a slow breath before he spoke again. "This food," he said, gesturing to the bag in Tina's hand. "It's for apartment 34B, correct?" "That's what she said." Victoria replied impatiently. "Yes," James continued, his eyes locked on hers. "It's the order for your son. For Daniel." Victoria froze. Her smug expression faltered for the first time. James wasn't finished. "I see this young lady working late almost every night, Victoria. Rain or shine. Doing whatever it takes to provide for her child. That's called dignity." He paused, letting his words hang in the air before delivering the final blow. "It's something your son, Daniel, might need to learn a thing or two about, especially now that he lost his high-paying job last week and is living in your apartment, living off your money and ordering takeout every night because he refuses to cook for himself." The silence in the lobby was absolute. The color drained from Victoria's face. She looked from James's unblinking stare to Tina's shocked expression. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. All of her arrogance, all of her superiority, had vanished. She was just a woman whose family's embarrassing secret had just been laid bare in front of a stranger she had tried to destroy. Tina stood there holding her baby, completely stunned. James turned his back on Victoria and gave Tina a warm, gentle smile. "Go on up," he said softly. "They're waiting for you." Without another word, a deeply humiliated Victoria snatched the food bag from Tina's hand. "I'll take it up myself," she muttered, refusing to make eye contact with anyone. She turned and practically ran to the elevator, her face burning with shame. The elevator doors slid shut, and she was gone. Tina looked at James, her eyes wide with disbelief and gratitude. A single tear finally escaped and rolled down her cheek. "Thank you," she whispered. Her voice was thick with emotion. James simply nodded. "You're a good mom, Tina," he said. "Don't ever let anyone make you feel ashamed for doing what you have to do." Tina gave him a watery smile, adjusted Leo on her chest, and walked out of the azure spire. The cold night air felt different now. It didn't feel as harsh. She still had more deliveries to make, and rent was still due, but she walked back to her car feeling a little taller, her heart a little lighter. She wasn't invisible after all. Someone had seen her. And tonight, that made all the difference. So, that was the story of Tina and James, The doorman who chose to speak up when it would have been easier to stay silent. In a world where it's so easy to judge, a little bit of compassion and understanding can change everything. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever seen someone stand up for a stranger like that? Or what would you have done if you were in James's position? If this story resonated with you, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It's completely free for you, but it helps our channel a lot and allows us to keep bringing you stories like this one. Thank you so much for watching. Have a beautiful day.